Hello and welcome back to the Medical Money. I'm Kirk Roberts, an emergency room nurse, financial educator, and licensed financial representative.
And I'm Ben Chandia, advanced CMT, firefighter, educator, and also licensed financial advisor.
Hold on, guys. I want you guys to hear this. You said licensed financial advisor.
Yep.
What does that mean?
So financial advisor is kind of a loosely used term in the industry, but basically there are certain tests, certain exams that you have to pass and get registered with FINRA and the state. Okay? So a licensed financial advisor allows you to, as an advisor, to charge for your advice. Okay. Now, as representatives, we usually give advice for free, opinions, things like that. But as an advisor, you're charging for the advice or the time that you give to your clients. Okay.
And you said, and this is like a federal license, right?
Yeah.
I mean, tell us more about that.
Yeah. So there's, like I said, there's an exam that you have to take. So the exam, the license is called the Series 65. Okay, so what that does is that first it's a big test. 140 questions, took me about 3 hours or so to take. I have no idea what score I got. I just know that I passed, which I'm okay with. There's also some legality to it. So I'm also considered a fiduciary, a licensed fiduciary, right? Now you guys have probably heard the term fiduciary out, being passed around. Okay. There's, like I said, there's some legalities with it. So a fiduciary means that legally we have to do what's best for the client.
Not for your commissions.
Not commissions. No.
Just what for the client.
And not that we would, put our clients astray, lead them astray or anything like that. Okay. But we're even that much more monitored and regulated and observed to make sure that we're doing the absolute best with people's finances. Okay. Which is a lot of responsibility, and just like in healthcare. Okay. The more licenses they have, the more responsibilities you have. Okay. A CNA and an EMT isn't the same as a critical care paramedic or a PRN or anything like that. Okay. So, just another way to level up and bring that much more value to my clients.
And guys, you can actually look him up on brokercheck.org, which is actually the SEC or the Security Exchange Commission's website. Now you can see if your financial representative is licensed or not. You can look them up on brokercheck.org or myself as well.
Yeah. And there's a lot of cool stuff that I can now bring to the table. We're going to talk about this in further episodes when we get to different types of investments. But you have things like mutual funds, annuities. I can now work with what's called managed accounts. So it's almost like having a limo versus getting on a bus to go somewhere. So a lot more of the red carpet experience, if you will.
Very nice.
Pretty excited.
We'll be definitely bringing this up in the investment section when we actually start talking about that. But guys, if you've been following the show, you remember our last episode where we talked about giving back. Our experience in going to Nepal and doing humanitarian work really kind of just reminded us of why we do these things. Why is it that we help others and making an impact and seeing firsthand what generosity and service can actually do. So,
and really that was, for me, Kirk, that was a life-changing experience.
For sure.
I'm so glad that we got to go. And if you guys remember during that episode, we focused a lot on the heart side of the money. Okay, yeah. Philanthropy, giving back, charitable giving. And now we're coming back home. Okay, we're back home. We're in a great office, great place. And now we're going to start focusing more on the structure side of things. Okay, we want to get back to building our financial house and making sure that you have a solid foundation.
Exactly. In the previous episodes, we were talking about income protection, making sure that if something happens to your ability to actually earn income, like say you die, your loved ones actually continue to have income for the things that they need. And now as we move to the next level of the financial house, building your emergency fund, the cash reserves that keep everything standing when life gets hard. So let's actually find out really what is an emergency fund. Now, the quick definition of it, an emergency fund is your financial safety net. It's cash set aside strictly for the unexpected, not for vacations, not for extras. It's the buffer that protects you when something goes wrong.
Yeah. And, as healthcare professionals, we get it. Okay. Life changes fast.
Yeah,
work changes fast. Okay. You can lose hours. Your unit can downsize. You may have some kind of restructuring. Yeah. Okay. You may need to take time off to go take care of family. Okay. An emergency fund is there to really make sure that those tough moments are there to prevent a financial crisis.
Well, and we see emergencies every day. And even out in the field, you guys see it every day. You never know what's coming. But you're prepared in advance. I mean, you handle it better. So like for us, We have a trauma alert. We have code blue where we're looking for heart attack issues. We have preparation so that when your rig or anyone who walks in the door has an emergency, we're able to handle that. Finance is the exact same way. You need to have a go bag for your life, and you need to have a go bag for your finances. And that cushion gives you time. It gives you the options that you might want, and actually, that peace of mind.
Yeah, and really, that peace of mind, that's what's going to help bring a lot of that stability. Okay, a lot of people think that in healthcare, your jobs are secure, right? You guys have a great paying job. You're always secure. Okay, we all know that if you're working in this field, things can change like that. Okay, overnight or within a couple hours, right? Contracts end, overtime dries up. Heck, you may have some kind of restructuring in the hospital or out in your department. Okay, things change, right? I know you guys have flexing.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have mandatory overtime. Like for us, we don't mind that overtime paycheck coming in, but if it's right in the middle of your kid's birthday, I don't want to leave. Right? That's not worth it. Okay.
Well, and you're mentioning flexing for us. I mean, the hospital, and a lot of people don't want to talk about this. The hospitals are obviously making money, but the flexing is when they're actually sending you home because maybe the patient volumes are not there to justify the staffing. Yeah, we're short staffed, but they then send you home on call. And so are you earning money during that time? No. And we're definitely going to talk about flexing when we go over budgeting and actually how to manage that. So, and I've seen nurses, I've seen EMTs and others that are making great money, living paycheck to paycheck. And it's not because they're irresponsible. It's because life happens faster than they can recover. And really, an emergency fund changes that. It gives you breathing room. It gives you that control that you need.
Yeah, and really that control is going to reduce stress.
Yeah.
We all know what stress is like. Okay? Yeah. If you don't know what stress is, you're probably, I don't know, maybe
wrong field,
administration or something. Yeah. No, just kidding. You guys probably have stress as well, right? But when you can reduce that stress, you're not having to worry about paying those bills or living paycheck to paycheck. Okay, you show up differently. You treat people differently. Okay, you're calmer. You're clearer. Okay, not just at work, but at home as well. So how important is that to you?
And guys, let's talk the brass tacks. Let's get to the real numbers. The general rule for an emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of essential expenses, not income. We're talking expenses. And that includes stuff like housing, food, utilities, transportation, insurance. These are the things that you can't miss, meaning your subscription to Amazon, to whatever, Prime Video. These subscriptions are not essential expenses, right? So
yeah, and people who have a variable income, it's going to look different. Okay, travel nurses, PRN, maybe you're self-employed. 6 months is going to be more on the safer side.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you're in a dual income household, you start off with 3 months.
Well, and it's kind of intimidating to think about it, that you have to have all this money saved up for your expenses. But don't get intimidated by that. Start small. Your first goal could be $1,000, and that's your stop the bleed fund, right? From there, you build 1 month, then 3. And it's sort of like endurance training. Consistency matters more than doing the speed.
Yeah. So where do you put it? Okay. There's a lot of places, a lot of options. Okay. The idea is that you want it to be safe, separate, and easy to access, or liquid. Okay. You have a lot of things that are, like a savings account. Savings account are great for some things, not for this. Okay, mainly because you're getting 0.0% on your savings account. So you have this thing called inflation, right? So Kirk, inflation, that I've heard this term, inflation is the silent killer of wealth, right? Pretty impactful when you think of it like that. So if you're having your emergency fund, say it's $10,000. Okay, we'll just throw numbers out there. Say you have $10,000 and you keep it in there. It's out of sight, out of mind. But inflation starts going up at 3.6, maybe 4%. 5 years down the road, that $10,000 could, be worth $15,000. Right now, you've lost $5,000 just from inflation. Okay, because you're not keeping up with it. Right. So you want to find something that's at least keeping up with inflation.
And typically, you guys can actually get this in like high yield savings account, like he was talking about, or a money market account. And these are kind of perfect for emergency funds. And these are typically found at your banks, and they are FDIC insured. What does that mean? It's the federal deposit. It basically says that your money is federally insured up to $250,000. There's little placards at your bank, at your credit union that say this. They don't give a ton of interest, but the money's liquid, like you said, available in a day or two. You can use it for your emergency if something happens.
Yeah. So don't make sure you're also not investing heavily in your emergency fund. Okay. This money the idea is not to get it to grow, right? Again, we want it to keep up with inflation, but we're not looking for that massive growth. Okay. This is money we're protecting. Okay. We're protecting it so that when you need it, you're not having to wait years for the market to potentially have to recover.
Right, guys. So, and think about this. How do I build this? Most people think, you know what, I'll just save in the future when I have money. But the truth is, you need to start now. And even with $25, maybe $50 a paycheck, get in that habit of constantly saving for your emergency fund.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, you want to make it automated. Why not? Okay. That's the key. Building those habits, having a system in place. Okay. So set up a direct deposit or maybe an auto transfer at your bank. Okay. Just like any other bill, you want to make sure that you pay yourself first. A lot of the times we get our paychecks and the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, I got to pay this. I got to pay that. I got to take care of this, take care of that. Okay. What about you? Okay. Make sure that you're putting yourself as a priority. Okay. Set a little bit aside. Okay. Have it automated. And then move on.
Yeah, and think about this too. Maybe you get some overtime money or like a tax refund or a small bonus. Drop a portion of that into your fund. It doesn't take long before that account now starts looking like stability instead of stress. That's what I would say. Start out small.
And really, once you hit that first 1,000, you're going to feel it. Okay. That mental shift that happens, you start going from survival mode into control mode. And that confidence, that's really where that financial piece starts to happen.
Guys, let's take a look at a couple of common mistakes people think about on emergency funds. A few mistakes to watch out for. One, using a credit card as your emergency fund. We've all done it. We know, but that's not the best way, because think about it. You're using a credit card to fund your emergency, and now you're being charged interest on your emergency. Not a great idea. What about investing your emergency savings in a risky asset? Yeah, you want it to grow and get lots of money, but if it's a risky, you could lose your money too, and it may not be as liquid as you want it. And also, there's also like borrowing from it, like things that aren't emergency. I know for a fact, I have actually some friends who said, you know what, I have some money I set aside for emergencies, but I want to go on a vacation. I've never been for a while. No, that's not what it's for, guys. It's for emergencies. It's not for vacations or some sort of like, I like that rug or whatever it is. Use it for emergencies.
And if you need to take a mental health day, okay, maybe that's an emergency, okay? But the trip to Cancun for a mental health day, that's a little different, okay? So
plan for that.
Plan for it, right? And really, if you have to use it, guys, it's okay. Okay, that's what it's there for. Use it. Okay, yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Right.
But just make sure that you rebuild it back as soon as you can. Okay, just like every call that we go on. Okay, after a call, what do? We restock the ambulance. We go back. We go into the supply room. Yeah. We restock our kits. Okay, after every call, after every shift. Okay, you don't want to be caught with your pants down.
No, for sure. And guys, let's put this in perspective, and also kind of the purpose behind it. And let's go back to Nepal when we were there. Yeah. We met people that had nothing. We're talking zero, no savings, no backup plan, no safety net, and yet they carried so much gratitude. And it just reminds us that financial stability, it's a privilege, guys, and it's part of honoring that privilege that we're managing it well.
Yeah, exactly. And when you have that emergency fund, again, you're not just protecting yourself, you're now positioning yourself to help others. Yeah. Okay, to give, to serve, to be there coming from a place of strength and not credit or weakness. Okay, it's about not having that fear. It's about freedom, really.
So here's our challenge that we have: is you need to figure out what your expenses are. That's your first challenge. Sit down with your spouse, wherever it is, your partner, whatever. Sit down and look at your expenses for the month. And essential expenses. We're not talking subscriptions. We're not talking about all your other extras. Food, transportation, housing, utilities, insurance. These are the things that are your real core expenses. Then do a multiplication by 3. So let's say your emergency expenses are $3,000 a month times 3. That's now $9,000, right? That's going to be your first target. And then, but as I mentioned before, start out small. If you can't do it automatically, start out small. Maybe start for $1,000 and then start building from there, right? Then open up a separate account. And the reason why we say this is you're going to set up a separate account, small automatic transfers every payday. And why? Because if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. If you see the money sitting there, I know you're going to be like, oh, I could buy this, right? Because don't we all do that?
Yeah.
You see money sitting there and you're like, oh, I need this.
Yep.
If you put it in a separate account, it's hidden away from your eyes and automate it, that money's going to grow, right?
Yeah. And really, I mean, we have these challenges. It doesn't matter which step you're starting on. Okay. What matters is that you do something. Okay. Start somewhere. Do something. Okay. Every dollar that you can save, that's just adding another layer of protection to your financial house.
Well, and we also talked about before how, you said pay yourself first. And it comes back to that adage where people say, like on an airplane, you got to put on your mask first before you help other people. We're saying the same thing about your emergency fund. You've got to pay yourself first. You've got to get an emergency fund so you can be prepared for those emergencies, and then you can help take care of others.
Well, heck, I mean, we say all the time when you start basic EMT, okay, BSI seen as safe. Why do we even do that? It's to protect you. You're the one going into the emergency scene. If it's not safe, why are you going in? Okay. We got to start thinking about this, from a financial aspect. Okay. We want to be able to have fun. I love going and traveling, right? But it's not so much, if it, have something set aside for a raining day. It's when it rains, it's going to pour. And how long is it going to be pouring for? Okay. We got to be prepared.
Guys, and we have our saying that we always say to you guys, right, all the time is, does this make sense or does this make dollars, right? So with that being said, we're here for you. We want to be able to help you. We are licensed financial representatives. We can help you. Send us a message at themedicalmoneycash@gmail.com. Let us help you set up a plan where you can actually get your financial house in order, where you can actually get your blueprint going. We can get you an emergency fund. We're willing to help you as well. Like I said before, and if you have anyone else who has the need or like, hey, I don't know what to do with my finances. Maybe they're great at saving lives, but maybe not so great at saving money. Send this out to them, right? So you can also reach out to us, like I said before, medicalmoneycash@gmail.com. Let us help you so that you can actually be protected. So guys, once again, thanks so much for being here today with us. We're going to be talking soon about budgets, and then we're going to be getting further into building your financial house. So join us next time, and we'll see you then. Thanks so much for coming.
I'm looking for a man in finance with a trust fund. 6'5", blue eyes. I'm looking for a man, blue eyes. I'm looking for a man, finance. I'm looking for a man with